Alright, so the young woman who stole my telephone the other day, she's sleeping in my vehicle. This is actually the second time I've made this video, because the first time I did it on the wrong phone and the phone died. The woman's name is Allie. Now, a lot of people told me that I should beat the fuck out of her. Not a lot of people, but the street people out here. Like, she fucking stole your phone. You should beat the shit out of her. I'm like, it's not like she stole my ID. That's something you don't steal from a fucking homeless person. You can steal their money. You can steal their things, steal their drugs. Do not steal their fucking ID. Now, why is it that I don't sleep in the vehicle with her? Well, that's because a lot of women out here on the streets have been molested a lot. There's a dude with a vehicle or a dude with a house, and he sees a street woman and he thinks, if I let her stay here, she owes me. No, she doesn't owe you. With a lot of people who are on drugs or addicted to drugs, like Natalie, for example, they don't make very good decisions. They got a lot of issues, but a lot of those stem from family problems. This young woman, I would say, given her age and her height, I'd say she has probably been molested in the way that I described probably close to a dozen times this year. That's what a road dog is for. A road dog is when you find a dude who's not going to put his nasty cock beaters all over you. That road dog keeps you safe. Now, I could take vengeance on her for stealing my telephone and for the cost of money and the cost of funds. I could drive up the mountain while she's passed out and do all sorts of terrible shit. I could take her dog for a walk, tie her dog to a tree, and have my way with this young woman. Anybody could. People who are in desperate situations do desperate things. And her, she's in a desperate situation. She's cold as fuck. So she's doing a desperate thing. She's staying in my vehicle. How many of y'all women have gone to sleep at some dude's house or in his vehicle, and all you want to do is go to sleep, but then you wake up and he's got his hands down your pants, or he's standing over you jerking off? Like, that's some fucking sick shit. But then you got the issue of people hating the homeless. When it comes to hitchhikers, y'all are paranoid to pick up hitchhikers because they might kill you, right? But statistically, now this is on the conservative side of what is verified, we got a 34-to-1 ratio here. For every one person killed by a hitchhiker, we got 34 people who were hitchhikers verified murdered. We've also got hundreds more who are missing and never found every year, who are travelers. So that number could be a lot higher. And that statistic isn't as high for women as you might think. Most of the travelers murdered are actually men. And yes, many of those men have signs of sexual abuse and sexual struggle. For that young woman in my vehicle, I'm a grand total of what she's got right now. She's got a boyfriend who can't help. She's got homeless people that couldn't keep their hands to themselves. And, well, this is a fucked up situation. People who are on drugs don't make good decisions. They're selfish. And they'll do some pretty fucked up shit to hide their abuse. Hide their drug abuse. Hide the fact that they're stealing from their parents to pay for those drugs. Danica Garner, she's one of those addicts. Rose M. Kelly is one of those addicts. Ted Bollinger is one of those addicts. Alicia Bollinger is one of those addicts. Natalie Bollinger was one of those addicts. These people on heroin, these people on meth, these people on these different drugs out here. There's a reason I showed them to you. Those problems are nationwide. It's not just here in Tacoma. It's not just there in Wyoming where I picked those kids up. I shouldn't say kids, they were both grown adults. But those grown adults came from where to begin with? Colorado. They were in Colorado getting fucked up on meth. They were in Colorado getting fucked up on heroin. Now Arturo, sorry, I'm talking to my phone, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Arturo and Emery, when I busted them down there with Natalie and Alicia, when Natalie and Alicia were about 14 or 15, 13 or 14, sorry. Emery was at least 26 years old. The right thing for him to do, if he was going to give her his sleeping bag, is to give her the sleeping bag, let her sleep in it, and then keep watch. Which is what I've been doing all night. And this woman in my vehicle, she's not 14 years old. She's 31. Natalie and Alicia, much like many of the kids that ran around on Pearl Street doing drugs, she was unsupervised. Natalie sold drugs for her dad. That's what she was doing on Pearl Street. That's what she was doing down there. Selling drugs for her dad. People didn't want me to be innocent. They wanted me to be guilty. They wanted me to be their boogeyman. And when it turned out that I wasn't, they refused to admit that they were wrong. They just kept harassing me and threatening me like they had done for a whole year before. You're damn right I'm pissed off. But I'm going to tell you something. That's my vehicle. You see it? It's a blue Jeep. That's my house. It's expensive on gas. It's expensive on parts. For somebody who doesn't have any money coming in or a steady income, that thing's just a pain in the ass. I shouldn't be begging people for the money to survive on. The police should have done their fucking jobs, and those people who did those things to me should be behind bars. What Ken and Leah did, oh my God. Miss Peaches knows that I was trying to get a lawyer over that situation, and she knows that I was trying to get a lawyer over the Natalie situation. She was involved in a whole bunch of that situation. And the cops wouldn't take her report. They wouldn't take reports from anybody. They wouldn't take one from Aaron Cockerham. They wouldn't take one from Karamia. They wouldn't take one from anybody who was not against me. Just like these Natalie Bollinger groups. They didn't allow anybody in there to stick around unless they were anti-Sean. If they said anything even remotely resembling sticking up for me, they were removed from these groups. These groups who slandered my name, falsified evidence, and continue to harass me to this day, which is why I continue to speak out to this day. Let's hope that new sheriff of Adams County is worth his salt. I want to believe so. I don't have any faith in him because he's an officer. But at the same time, I'm giving him a chance for the same reason that I gave Lana a chance. Because I need to believe somebody will actually do something. If you don't like the fact that I exposed your words on Facebook, you should pay attention to the fact that you not coming forward to the police about that soon enough put my friends and family at risk. And if you are my friends or family and I exposed you, maybe you should think about that. Keeping these predators on their toes, predators like Ted Bollinger and Andrew Witcher, keeping them on their toes, keeping them too paranoid to victimize anyone, too paranoid to molest anyone. That's what I'm up to. And I wouldn't have to be up to that if I'd have been allowed an honest day in court, if I'd have been allowed to make a police report, if the police had not done everything in their power to run out the time that I am allowed to file a report against them. They took full advantage of my disabilities and then claim I don't have any. And then, when they want to use the disability thing against me, I magically have disabilities. Well, you know, if he's got disabilities, we can harm him like this, and this. But then, when it comes to giving me the rights that I'm supposed to be afforded as a disabled person, it's, oh, he's not that disabled. Well, I got some doctors recorded who said otherwise. Quite a few doctors, actually. That's on my YouTube as well. You guys want to destroy evidence, and I want to show evidence. And we have been fighting this battle for 2.5 years. Natalie didn't want everybody to know she was on heroin. Well, maybe she should have thought about that before destroying an innocent man's life. Fuck the United States. Now that young woman in my vehicle, she's conscious now. That means I can go sit in my vehicle. I can smoke myself a cigarette. And if I had any weed, I could smoke me a fat blunt. I don't have any rolling papers and I don't have any blunt wraps, but that's not the point. The point is, I chose to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I chose people over things. I chose human beings over drugs. Something most of the folks in my life don't understand. Christine Buhit, she chose her drugs over her kid. She's not the only one. Rose Kelly chose abusive men over her kids. She also chose alcohol over her kids. Rochelle Shelley Campbell chose drugs over her kids. How is it that Ted Bollinger ended up with Rose M. Kelly? Because he had the drugs she wanted. And she was out on the streets. How about Danica Garner? Same thing. Ted had the drugs. Danica was on the streets. How about Shelley? Same thing. Ted had the drugs she wanted, and she was out on the streets. Ted Bollinger is an actual predator, unlike how you motherfuckers tried to tag me. Emery is an actual predator. Arturo is an actual predator. Derek Apodaca is an actual predator. Tim Beeson is an actual predator. Andrew Witcher is an actual predator. Doug Cowden was an actual predator. Pardon me, I'm going to step over to the side here. There's an officer driving by. Didn't need to be in the middle of the road. And that's the world I live in. Away from your pretty memes. The reality of the situation is your pretty memes aren't going to help this young woman. No matter how much you tell her she's got to love herself, that's not going to fix the situation.